friends, it's Miss Ashley. For today's lesson, we're going to talk about shadows, and we're going to learn why we see our shadows, what makes us see our shadow, and I'd like for you to help me identify some objects by taking a look at the shadows of those objects. But before we do that, I'd like to read a story to you, and the title of this story is Moon Bear's Shadow by Frank Ash. One day, Bear went down to the pond with his fishing pole and a big can of worms. While he was putting a worm on his hook, he looked down and saw a big fish. "I'm going to catch that fish," thought Bear. And there's the fish, right there in the water. But when Bear stood up to throw his line in the water, his shadow scared the big fish away. "Go away, Shadow!" cried Bear. But Bear's shadow would not go away. And there we see Bear's shadow standing in front of him. And I want you to pay attention to where the sun is in the sky. Over here, the sun is up high in the sky over to one side. So it's in the morning right now. It's early in the morning. "Okay," said Bear, "if you won't go on your own, then I'll just have to get rid of you." And he put down his fishing pole and began to run. He ran around the pond. When he got to the other side, he kept on running. And there's Bear, and his shadow is in front of him. And he's running all around the pond. And again, you see the sun, and it's over here on this side of the sky. He ran through a field of flowers, jumped over the brook, and hid behind a tree. "Good," he thought. "Now Shadow can't find me." And there's his shadow over here. Do we see his shadow here? We see the shadow of the tree and the shadow of the flower. But Bear was wrong. When he stepped out from behind the tree, the first thing he saw was Shadow. Nearby was a cliff. Bear walked over to the cliff and looked up. "I'll climb it so high that Shadow won't be able to follow me," thought Bear. Do you think he's going to be able to escape from his shadow? Let's see. Bear climbed higher and higher until at last he pulled himself up to the top. Huffing and puffing, he smiled with pride. Then he looked down and he saw... What did he see? He saw his shadow. And you can see the shadow is still in front of Bear. Now Bear was very annoyed. So he went home and got a hammer and some nails to nail his shadow to the ground. He hammered and he hammered and he hammered, but no matter how many nails he hammered, he couldn't nail his shadow down. And there you can see the nails in the ground. He's trying to nail it down over here. And what's happening? When he moves, his shadow follows him. And you can tell here the shadow is starting to move to the side of Bear. It's not as much in the front of him. "If I can't nail him down," thought Bear, "maybe I can bury him." So he got his shovel and dug a hole. When the hole was deep and wide, he let his shadow fall in the hole. And there you can see part of his shadow falling into the hole. Then Bear filled in the hole with dirt. When he was finished, it was almost noon. And noon is 12 o'clock. It's right in the middle of the day. The sun was high in the sky, and Shadow was nowhere to be seen. At last, sighed Bear, no more Shadow. And you can tell the sun has moved from this side of the sky to the middle of the sky, and it's right over top of Bear. And there's no shadow when the sun is in the middle of the sky like that. By now, Bear was very tired, so he went inside and took a little nap. While he slept, time passed, and the sun once again began to cast shadows everywhere. So here, over here on this side, the sun is right over top of the shovel in the middle of the sky, and we don't see a shadow. As the sun starts to move across the sky, we start to see the shadow emerge from the shovel. And here it's moving further to the left. And the shadow keeps, as the sun moves across the sky, the shadow gets bigger. When Bear got up and opened his door, he saw his shadow on the floor. "Not you again!" exclaimed Bear, and he slammed the door, hoping to lock Shadow inside. But Shadow was too quick. And look where Bear's shadow is now. Is it in front of him? No, it's behind him. So if we look back to the front of the story, Bear's shadow was in front of him, and now his shadow is behind him. And that's because the sun is moving across the sky. Sighed Bear. "How about this? If you let me catch a fish, I'll let you catch one too. Nod your head like this if it's a deal." When Bear nodded his head, Shadow nodded too. So Bear went back to the pond and once again threw his line in the water. By this time, the sun was in a different part of the sky, which made it easy for Shadow to keep his part of the deal. So this time, the sun's way over here, and Shadow is behind Bear, or kind of to the side, so it's not over top of the water anymore. Hopefully it won't scare the fish away. Let's see what happened. And when Bear caught that big fish, Shadow caught one too. Can you see the shadow of the fish? There you go. So here, when I said the shadow was behind Bear and it's not over top of the water, if we go back to the beginning of the story, and the sun is over here on the left side of the sky, if we go over here to the beginning of the story where Bear is fishing, the sun is behind Bear on the right side of the sky, and his shadow is in front of him. So anytime the sun is behind you, your shadow will be in front of you. And anytime the sun is right over top of you, in the middle of the sky, you will not see your shadow. And if the sun is shining in front of you, your shadow will be behind you. All right, thanks for listening to my story. And now we're going to test out